And she goes over to it, and she's like, oh, God, I'm so hungry. And then, Chad, she gets down on her hands and knees, unclenches her jaw like a snake, and just goes, ah! And then she starts eating this thing. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content in my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games, I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video. Now is the time to talk about Smallville. Amy Adams is a fat-sucking vampire, chat. So, chat, I have a question for you. How many of you have seen Smallville, chat, the series? Now, I'm not even asking for this particular episode because there's 10 fucking seasons of this show, and I'm sure a lot of them all start to blend together. But how many of you watched Smallville? Somebody save me! Naya, I think, did. I did not murder him. That poor lady. What do you mean? Oh, she looks great. What are you talking about? She's looking great. That's the sound she actually makes when she's about to feast upon your body, chat. When she sucks all the fat out. So Callie says, save me. Callie says, seen a few episodes. Tutal, I've heard of the show, but I was never into the show. CJ says, yep. Darkslayer saw some episodes, never saw it all the way through. Rascal, I have not watched it much. Can't really call anything from it. Zodi, seen all of it on TV. One of my favorite series, but it got back later though. Edman, I don't watch anything Superman except the cartoon. And I checked out after season 4. Vanny. Big Homie says, yeah, Vanny, I saw the first 5 seasons and then got bored. Man, they went for 10 seasons. 10 goddamn seasons. What Sideways Asshole decided it was a good idea. They're such a wonderful actress. I mean, this is before she was known for anything. It was like one of her first, I mean, I'm sure she did other things, but that was like when she first started to come to prominence, I imagine. Ray Deathler watched the first season, I think, got bored with Edge of Berserk. I just remember the episode that revolved around Stride Gum. See, I love it, chat, because I love superheroes. I grew up with them, but yeah, as Big Homie said, my only really big exposure to Superman in terms of, in television form was the animated show and Justice League. I love that take on Superman, chat. That was my Superman. Tim Daly was my Superman, chat. And I wasn't really watching a lot of the live action superhero CW shows until Arrow and Flash and things. Before that, like it just wasn't my thing. But I remember, I do remember, there's one episode I do recall, it was the only one I actually watched all the way through because it just fascinated me. Because I thought it was just so fucking weird and bizarre and funny. And it was this episode, chat, of Smallville, episode 7 of season 1, Craving, chat, where Amy Adams is a fat-sucking vampire, where, to set it up for you. It's set up for you, chat. The whole episode revolves around this big fucking event that happened 18 years ago during this meteor shower, chat. And it was the arrival of baby Kal-El falling to Smallville and being adopted by his mom. And apparently, chat, all these fucking meteorite shards was kryptonite. Kryptonite apparently can do anything in the show. That's what I realized. Kryptonite can do absolutely anything. It's not only a weakness of Superman, chat. It can cause cancer, which I guess it did in Lex Luthor. That's his big, like, I hate you, Superman. That you fucking gave me cancer and you made me bald. And we're not at the cancer thing yet, but he's just so resentful that he's fucking bald. That's the thing that traumatized him as a child. And it gives you all sorts of other powers, chat. They had the generic ones like, I, can fire fireballs. I, can shoot ice out of my hands. I suck the fat out of living creatures. Typical powers. And that's pretty much the segment of this whole movie. You have this overarching multiple season wide series where it revolves around a young high school Clark Kent, then college, and then I imagine later on intern for the Daily Planet, then working for the Daily Planet, where he grows up in Smallville and he interacts with all of his friends and he has to, fight all these super threats at the same time. And Smallville is very much, chat, like the I guess it's the town where all the weird shit happens in middle America, Chad, and across the United States. Like all this weird stuff seems to revolve around this town. You got a government conspiracy, you got a corporate conspiracy, chat with the Lex Corp and everything. Lex Luthor's dad's there and they're experimenting on kids and kryptonite, and it all revolves here. Thank you, Dark Side, for the 5 bitties. Each color of kryptonite other than green is what the plot calls for. Yep, Juice Bro, I'm fucking loving it, man. I'm glad you enjoyed Ace Rock. Good to have you here. No, I was very curious about that. I'm gonna check that out in the future. Very near future. It's one of those big games I definitely want to play. And you guys indeed voted for it, chat, so be on the lookout. Maybe in the next couple weeks after I finish Valhalla. Or maybe I'll take a break from it. We'll see. But that's kind of the whole premise of the show, Chad. I never watched it, but I watched this one episode years ago, and it just fascinated me because it was just like, oh, it's kind of weird. It's like a body horror angle, and that was before I was already getting into like body horror type stuff at a young age because, the television was like a third parent. And I was watching horror movies at an age I should not have been, chat. So, like, I saw Alien like when I was 10, and I was like, I should not be watching this shit. It traumatized me. But ever since then, I had this fascination with like sci-fi body horror, and I like the idea of the fat-sucking vampire. That's cool, but looking back on it, chat, I realized that this thing was fucking dumb. It was so dumb, Chad. It was so dumb. And then years later, I realized, like, oh my God. Because when in the mid 2000s, I realized that was Amy Adams, and she was already doing a lot of great dramas, Chad, or comedies. She did, what was that Enchanted film, which really, that was the movie that really brought her to prominence, Enchanted. And then she did like several dramas. She did Doubt and things with Phyllis Seymour Hoffman and got Meryl Streep and so many other movies. And then but then that's when I found out, it's like, wait a minute, she's that girl from the fucking fat vampire sucking episode from Smallville. And then when she was cast of Man of Steel as Lois Lane, I thought it was hilarious that she was cast, in a Superman film. And I was that guy going around saying, hey, before this, Amy Adams, she was already in a Superman show. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, yeah. And I would be the one that would reveal to people that she played a fat-sucking vampire in the series shit. It's always stuck with me. And I think that's why this particular episode in live-action superhero content has always stayed with me. It's always been embedded in my brain. And this is one I've always wanted to talk about because it's just so thoroughly weird. So, chat, strap in, and here we goddamn go, Chad. Cold opening. I forgot these shows have a very cold opening, Chad. They often don't focus on Clark Kent and he's got a lot of friends in this show, Chad. Do I know all their names? No. I do not know all their names, Chad. Some of these people I think were written out of the show later on because they're like, we just don't want to be here anymore. So they probably were killed off later on, Chad. They were killed off later on. Or it's like, Stu, he just went to another school. Oh, well. It's like what they did with Power Rangers back in the day, Chad. Same fucking level of writing. Not too different, honestly, Chad. Like this and like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, similar writing, I'd say. Similar writing, Chad. Maybe a little more dramatic, Chad. Maybe a little more dramatic. But the episode starts, cold opening, chat, with Amy Adams. Amy Adams, she is working at her father's farm, chat, her father's farm, and Jesus Christ, Chris Sayers is right. You're right about this one thing. What they do to her throughout this episode, what they put her in is ridiculous, chat, because they got her in one of the worst fat suits I think I've ever seen on a television show. This thing looks so fake, and it just makes her look old. That's what it does. She's not even, really, she's all chin. Like everything else about her body looks fine. She's got like a little tummy, but it looks natural. But they have her with this George Lucas like sack, chat, this throat sack throughout the entire like first 20 minutes of this episode. That's what it is. It's all this giant sack. It's like if you were to shave George Lucas, chat, and you were like present him, this is what he would look like, chat. He looked like Amy Adams in Smallville. I gotta show you this guy. I should have prepped this beforehand, chat. I gotta show you what the hell she looks like in this goddamn fat suit. None of the money. Like, I know the show, like, I guess it got a higher budget as it went along. You got to pay the actors more. You had a bit, you got more powers and things, more villains. You got to improve the budget. But in the first season, they did not care. They didn't give a shit. And what they have her here in this shit, I mean, oh my God, it's egregious. And you can tell how they plastered like the cheeks on shit. You can see the seams coming undone. Here you go, guys. All right, here we go. We're Amy, and she's sucking the fat out of this goddamn deer, chat. Let me go ahead and show you what she looks like pre vampirism, fat vampirism, chat. There. Oh, hold on. I got a good look at her there, Chad. There she is. Look at that, Chad. Look what they did to. Look what you did to my girl. Thank you, DeCarlos, for the 15 biddies. Amy Adams sees George Lucas. Daddy. There it is. Like, look at that. It's like the skin color. You can even tell, Chad, the skin color for the fat suit she's in and her around her mouth and chin does not match. It is so goddamn cheap. and it keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse throughout the rest of the episode, Chad, what they do to her. But it opens a cold opening. Her dad, or Mr. Amy Adams, Chad, I don't know his name. Mr. Amy Adams, he's concerned because his daughter, she's trying to go on this diet and she's just not eating, Chad, but she can't help still being fat. And he's like, honey, you're beautiful like you are. And while she's all doing this shit, while he's talking to his daughter inside this greenhouse, she's just picking up these glowing green rocks that are in the soil. I'd be like, what the fuck is that? That rock is glowing. It's all kryptonite, chat. Apparently all of Smallville is just layered with kryptonite. And a lot of the kryptonite, chat, since it's in the soil, the food is absorbing it, all the crops and corn and shit, and this is causing all these super babies to be born, chat. That's what it is. All these the powers are dormant in people for years until they hit puberty, some cases the middle school or in high school age or whatever, and they start, they can't control themselves, and they're the common threat for all these episodes, chat. And it's like, shouldn't we fucking analyze all this goddamn kryptonite here? And apparently people are just used to it. They're like, oh, that's from the meteor shower. I'm sure it's safe. And she's literally scooping up kryptonite, Chad, out of the soil, and it's glowing and everything. No one's calling attention to it. It's like, I think this is a problem here. And she's like, Dad, I want to be thin. And he's like, you're beautiful, Amy. You're beautiful, just like your mother. She's like, no, Father, mother was not fat. And she's like, this is what I shall eat. And she has all these different foods like carrots and radishes and tomatoes, Chad, and other vegetables and fruit. She's like, this is all I need. I'm going to make super healthy shakes. It's not enough. You got to have some solid food in there. You can't just drink it. That's unhealthy. You may think that's healthy, but it's not, Chad. It's not. And so, she makes these goddamn shakes, and she goes inside, and the dad's looking at it like this giant bucket filled with kryptonite. It's like, Lex Luthor would be like, I would like all of that, please. Thank you very much. I will buy that. Thank you. But no. He's just like, this is kind of weird. And just puts it right back in the soil like an idiot. He's like, oh, well, what are you going to do? And he walks away. So all these parents, all these kids, they get what they fucking deserve. If you think that looks safe, this radioactive looking space rock, I'm sorry, but it's gonna lead to situations where your daughter's gonna become a fat sucking vampire, Chad. That's the way it is. And so then we cut, and the other thing is, like, they have the whole mainline plot of, is Clark gonna get on that date with Lana? It's like, that's kind of the boring storyline for this episode, Chef. For whatever reason, Lana Lang is going to have her birthday at Lex Luthor's father's mansion, Lionel Luthor. Which, funny enough, chat, the actor who plays Lionel Luthor, the father of Lex Luthor, he played the mad scientist in Batman and Robin who creates Bane. This is pointed out to me by our own Vanny Spheres chat. Van, I was like, oh my God, that is him. I totally did not know. So he's been with DC for quite some time, chat. But he's not in this episode. And I guess fucking Lex Luthor, he rents out the mansion for raves and parties for kids. And I guess Lana's mother is like, no, we're going to fucking go to the Lex Luthor mansion, and we're going to throw you the biggest, best birthday party imaginable, chat. And the whole big, dilemma of Clark is like, oh, I got to get the perfect gift for Lana. And he's competing with this other fucking football player, chat, who's like, I've got to go out for state. I got to get to the good college of my, of my football skills. And Clark is like, oh, if I could get to football, I would, but I murder everyone I would come across, because he would, this is when he has all his powers are developing, chat, but he already has super speed, already has super strength, and he would hit someone, they would fucking explode. They would explode, chat. So he's like, I gotta control myself, and he can't be on the football team. Oh, gosh darn it. Oh, gee whiz, as he would say. And so, but he needs to win Lana's affection. But she's playing loose with everybody, Chad. Like, she's with goddamn Sports McGee. I throw the football, real good guy. But then she's also always flirting with Lex Luthor. It's like, Lana, fucking stay in one lane. Stop, messing with all these guys. That's not a good recipe, okay? You're messing with this poor guy who just wants to play football, a fucking supervillain in the making, and Clark Kent, who's he's your good old big blue Boy Scout. Stop messing. I don't like Lana at all, Chad. It's like, oh, come on, give me a break. It just pissed me off. Dark Side of the Vibe is, to be fair, it is the Midwest, not smart to begin with. Oh, also, Speed and Wicca. Speed and Wiccan are Wanda and Vision's children? What? I can't believe it. I cannot believe it, Chad. Revelations, Chad, in this episode. I mean, revealed it here. Long before we got WandaVision, Chad. Long before we got Robot Boy and Witch Mom, it was revealed that Wiccan and Speed are their sons in Smallville, Chad. The Amy Adams is a fat-sucking vampire episode. Boom, revealed. I can't believe it. But the whole background, storyline, chat. That's just the main plot, whatever you want to call it. But the one that no one gives a shit about is Clark's got to look for a gift for Lana, and Lana just playing with these three guys, chat. Like, who do I want? Do I want the football guy? Do I want Lex Luthor? Or do I want Clark Kent? That's it. That's the big thing, chat. And how she's like, I don't want a big birthday. Mom's forcing this on me. And it's kind of weird. She's like, my best birthday memory. It was just me and my brother watching Bugs Bunny cartoons at the movies. So it's like, what movie theater is this showing Bugs Bunny cartoons? That was weird. Is it the fucking local, 10-cent theater in Smallville, Kansas? Is that the only film they can get was old Bugs Bunny serials, chat, from 1940 when we're fighting the war? I don't know. I guess so. I don't know. I imagine that's what it is. The Elite, welcome to stream. Hope you're doing very well. Good to see you. So he's like, yeah, I get to get a gift. But then, Chad, the main plot is Amy Adams sucking the fat out of people. And so, she's making all these goddamn green shakes for herself, Chad. And by the way, they have kryptonite in them, Chad, because the shakes are literally glowing green. It's like, I wouldn't eat that glowing green sludge you just made for yourself, Amy Adams. That seems unhealthy. Thunderly, the good tipities. You reviewed the episode that got me scared of Amy Adams. Exactly, scared me too. It fascinated and scared me, Thunderly. Of course it did. So she goes to school. And she's hanging out with two of Clark Kent's friends, chat. Oh, God, I don't remember what's the one guy's name, chat? Stu? Is his name Pete, chat? Pete. We got Pete, and we have Allison Mack, chat. And she, Allison Mack introduces herself. She's like, hey, you guys want to join an organization? It'll really help motivate you. So she's the person, chat, Allison Mack, who plays the character of, I guess, Chloe Sullivan. She plays this actress. She was the one that was a part of that cult that would literally get people in there, brand them, and sell them into sex slavery, chat. I actually did a little research on her beforehand. Apparently, she's, I think, under house arrest with her family, but she's awaiting her sentencing, chat. I guess she agreed to, she said she was guilty of racketeering and some other form of racketeering. I don't know how that's, I don't know how that's related to sex slavery, but maybe she took a lesser guilty pardon or something, or a sentence, a less strict sentence, I guess. So she agreed to the racketeering charges, but she seems to be going to jail for quite some time, but her trial's not been confirmed yet. Her accomplice in it, Chad, that guy has been sentenced, or I think it's a woman, I forget who it is, 120 years. So she could be spending quite a few decades. I think they said that Allison Mack is going to minimally serve 15 years in prison. So it's like, fuck. Well, there you go. So it's crazy to see her in this, and she's the precocious one. She's the one who's very curious. She's the one who is always trying to get Clark Kent to do these investigations with her at Smallville. Like, she knows that there's some crazy shit up there, chat. But I love that she does not know that Clark has these powers. Like, that's the other big theme of the series, I guess. I mean, it changes over time. People figure it out. But, like, no one knows that Clark Kent, of course, is an alien, that he's a Kryptonian or anything. And they don't know he has all these powers, chat. So he's always trying to keep this shit on the down low. And yet the person who's investigating all this stuff, it is always is her partner, in these investigations. She is completely oblivious to the fact that he has these powers. I think is very funny. So she's there hanging out with Pete, and then they see Amy Adams. She's walking up there, and I guess they're kind of friends. Amy Adams is only in this one episode, chat. She does not return after this one for good reason, because she's a fucking fat-sucking vampire, chat. That's a concern. That's a threat to the student body of Smallville High School. But, like, oh, how you doing, Amy Adams? And she's like, I'm doing good, just having my green glowing shakes, and she's drinking them and everything. And they're like, oh, that's good, And she's like, are you guys excited for, I love that, like, Lana's birthday, because I guess these birthdays at the Lex Luthor mansions, chat, they're just like everybody can come there, and so it's like a big deal when he throws a party at his place, and they're like, oh shit, yeah, hell yeah, we are. Actually, no, Allison Mack and Peter are like, kinda. She's like, oh, I'm so excited, aren't you excited, Pete? And he goes, I guess, yeah, sure. But then, chat, we get this one guy, Dustin, he's one of the other football players. Dustin, and he's got like his little toady. Oh my god, the elite, thank you for resubscribing to that Prime subscription, thank you. 4 months. 4 months in a row on a 4-month streak. Thank you. Just be last was 2 on ground. What? Man, I could never do being on ground. That's impressive, PP. Welcome to stream. But like during this whole thing, chat, Dustin, he hears them talking. He's like, hey, why you talking to her, Pete? Now's not the time for whale watching. So Dustin is already established as a piece of shit, chat, just mocking Amy Adams' weight. And then he fucking punches her. I'm like, what is this? He's like a Stephen King level bully, because, Pete's like, hey, back off, Dustin. She's like, no, I'm not going to back off. And he fucking punches Amy Adams in the arm. And she's like, oh, and she spills her drink, her Kryptonian drink all over herself, Chad, and Allison Mack and Pete. And I was like, this escalated dramatically. It went from calling her fat, whale watch, to punching her in the arm. And I'm like, what? This doesn't make any goddamn sense. And she runs out, Chad. She runs out because she's so upset. And Pete's like, what the fuck, bro? What the fuck? And he's like, oh, come on, man. You're going to cry for the fatty. Come on. She's hideous. I mean... I don't want to agree with Dustin, but she doesn't look like George Lucas. So, show. Thank you for the Tiffany's. My heart's a bit of pattern. I don't mean to be the asshole here, but this is a little odd looking. That's all I'll say. This is like, there's something wrong here. Mostly with the face, the mixed skin. She just looks unhealthy. Like not the fat. That's fine. Just the skin color. It's just like, there's something going on here. Something's wrong. Something's not adding up. But so she's very sad and shit. Also, Chad, Lex Luthor, he has a plot in this. Lex Luthor, he is constantly doing research into these rocks, the kryptonite. He wants to know something about it, Chad, because he was in Smallville on the day of the meteor shower, Chad, on Kal-El, Clark's arrival to Earth. And apparently, Chad, his whole motivation in this series, the thing that set him down the path, chat, of being one of the greatest supervillains in all of the DC universe, chat. Like, look, so he's like top 5. He's top 5, chat. I mean, he's a genius, master manipulator. Great villain. I'm a big Lex Luthor fan, chat. I don't think he's been treated well in live action, but he's a great goddamn villain. But the thing that set him on his path, chat, is because he became bald as a child, and he hates it. That's it. What made him evil, it was the loss of his hair, Chad. He's like, I hate those goddamn rocks so much. I hate them that now I shall become evil. It's literally because he's bald. And I think in the original comics, that was the reason. That was the inciting incident he became evil, Chad, was because he was stricken with baldness, and he set off on a criminal career as a supervillain, which I'm like, why would you do that for a live-action Superman series? Because that sounds fucking ridiculous. Now, I will say this. Now, they kind of go into it like, he's like, I was mocked as a child throughout my first childhood. He was mocked that I was a freak. They thought I was a chemo. I had cancer and everything. All these people that were, constantly, hovering over me, and I didn't need it. I didn't want it. It made me stronger. This made me stronger. Clark. He talks to Clark about all this shit. Clark is just like, okay. By the way, Tom Welling, I know people love him. I don't know if this episode, he barely does anything in this episode, Chad. I think he's the weakest actor out of everybody in this particular. I'm not saying overall the series. In this episode, he basically gets nothing to do. He's just kind of going, I guess, Lex, I'm sorry. That's really it. And he's talking to Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor's doing his monologue. And I'll tell you this much, Chad. Michael Rosenbaum, he fucking hams it up. You know, he's the best actor. I can see why people say, who's the best live action Lex Luthor? They pull it to Michael Rosenbaum, because despite maybe the thin, his thin origin story, chat, he takes what he's given, he runs with it, because he is quite good. Michael Rosenbaum is quite good, and he's doing his own investigations, chat. He teams up with fucking Dyson, chat. Dyson from Terminator Judgment Day, who apparently is retired to Smallville, chat, and he studies rocks all day. And he's like, Dyson from Terminator 2, you got to study these rocks for me. Okay, I'm going to give you $100,000 to study these goddamn rocks. Also, I'm going to blackmail you and expose you to the entire town that you were sleeping with underage girls. It's like, what? What? Big fucking revelation, Chad. Dyson from Terminator 2 was sleeping with his students. Gross. What are you doing? It's like, this is crazy, this show. The extremes we go to, Chad, throughout this one episode. It's fucking nuts. Didn't Dyson also play Cyborg's dad? He also played Cyborg's dad in Justice League, Chad. He's been with DC for quite some time. Think of the 5 minutes, and he's was sleeping with underage girls. Wow. Indeed. Wow, indeed, Chad. That's a lot of the B plots going on, Chad. Also, I think it's revealed that Lex Luthor, he learns, like, because he's, I'm feeling a little fatigued. And he gets this medical exam, Chad. He's waiting on the results. By the way, they established that Metropolis is in Kansas, which I don't think that is a thing in the comics or in the movies, that Metropolis is in Kansas, because they said, because he gets a letter and it says Metropolis, Kansas, and they refer to, I drove to Metropolis the other day, and so apparently, like, Smallville is right outside Metropolis, chat. So it's just kind of weird to me. I always kind of considered Metropolis to either be like the New York City of the DC universe, or kind of maybe like somewhere in Virginia, maybe. You know, maybe in the Maryland area. So it was always kind of, it was kind of weird to me. That's like, oh shit, it's in the middle of the country. That was kind of weird. Another thing with Tim Benny's, oddly enough, in this universe, Lex is present during Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Clark does not have any powers anymore. What? That's fucking, because they continued writing the comic, right, afterwards. Or they continued the series in comic form. That's interesting. They did that for Buffy too, right? That's still ongoing. Thank you to Tim Benny, by the way. My heart's a pitter-patter. And so, apparently, anyway, he gets the medical results, and I guess he has leukemia. I guess that's the big reveal. I think there's like an arc in the show that he's really sick, and that is kind of the reason why he's so angry at the meteor shower, and thusly why he's angry at Superman Clark, because I think he has leukemia. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm getting the sense like that was a big thing in the show. Anyway, so got all that out of the way, Chet. That's all out of the way. Now we can concentrate on the Amy Adams is a fat-sucking vampire, Chet. We then cut back to her home, Chet, and she's very upset, and her dad is trying to help her out. You know, it's like, hey, listen, I know what those people might say, but you are beautiful, okay? You know, of course you can diet, but I want to make sure that you're still healthy. Not just, in terms of your physical health, but your mental health. She's like, I'm fine, Dad, I'm fine. And, she's eating everything. But no, she's making more of these green shakes. He's like, you gotta, just eat more than that. She's like, this is all I need. This is all I need, Father. And she drinks it. And then, Chad, she eventually, it takes place later in the day, and, she goes to the bathroom. She has, my tummy, She goes to the bathroom, Chad. All of a sudden, she lifts up her shirt, and her you see, there's something inside of her. There's, like, something moving around. It's like, is she pregnant? Is there an alien parasite, Chad? Does she have the biggest tapeworm on record? Something's moving. So if I felt something, if I felt like my stomach was, like, gonna explode, and I look, and there's, like, something moving in me, I'd be like, oh, my fucking God, I gotta call the hospital. But she's like, huh. And she sees Chad all of a sudden because she steps on the scale. She steps on the scale and she's like, And she lays like, she says she's fat. She's only 100 and, this is weird. So I don't know why they did this. So she's fat, quote unquote. And she steps on the scale and she's like only 169 pounds or something. And I was like, that's not fat. I don't know. I guess maybe the height difference. I guess it depends on your height. But she's like, morbidly obese. But she's not really. She's 169 pounds. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. But then she steps off the scale. She's like, and she lifts up her shirt, chat. And we see these goddamn things inside of her moving. And all of a sudden, the fat in her stomach and around her face starts to to go down, chat. It's like, she's like, And she becomes skinnier. And she steps back on the scale, and she's like 150 pounds now or something. She lost like 20 pounds in like a minute. And she's like, oh my God. And then she goes back to school the next day. She's in like a new outfit and everything. We see fucking Allison Mack, not Alice Mack, chat. She's a goddamn national treasure. Alice Mack's a goddamn national treasure, chat. Allison Mack and Pete and Clark, and they're talking about dumb shit. And they're like, hi guys, hi. And they're like, oh, hi, Amy. And they're like, oh, Amy, you look different. She goes, you think so? And Pete's like, yeah, the diet, it's seriously, it's doing great. It's doing wonders. She's like, yeah, I just been drinking these shakes. She's like, I'm glad you noticed. And Pete's like, yeah. He's like, hey, Pete, the Lana Lane's birthday is tomorrow, or it's 2 days from now at Lex Luthor's mansion. Do you need a date? And he's like, I don't think he's like interested in her as like a romantic thing. But he's like, yeah, sure, as a friend. Yeah, no, of course. You want to go? And she goes, I didn't think you'd ask. Yes, of course I want to go with you. And he's like, cool, I'll pick you up Friday then. And she's like, great, can't wait. Thank you, Dogs, for the 5 minis. We found a new diet shake, Kryptonian glow smoothies. It's great. It puts hentai worms inside your tummy, and they suck out your fat. And so she's like, oh, everything is going well for her, chat. She's just so excited. She goes back home. She's like, yes, I got a date with Pete. Hell yeah. But then, chat, all of a sudden, she's like, oh, my tummy. And she loses more fat. And she steps on the scale, and it's now like 125 pounds. She's like, oh, God, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I need to eat something. And she goes to the kitchen. She's just stuffing her face. She's like, she's eating like, and this is Amy M is just literally like taking chicken. And I imagine they had a fucking spit bucket for her on set. And she's just stuffing herself with chicken and pudding and mayonnaise. She's like scooping out mayonnaise and just going, oh no, I'm just like, that's gross. Just chugging mayonnaise down, chat. Just lathered in it. Just, takes the Twinkies and the fucking Cheetos and but she just needs it, chat. For some reason, she's like, I need to feed. But she's like, she's still hungry, though. She's still hungry. She's not satisfied, chat. She's ravenous. She's craving. And then we do a hard fucking cut, chat, where she's now on the road and it's storming and lightning and everything. And she's gone to like every goddamn fast food place in Smallville. She's just like, she's eating as much as she possibly can. She's not paying attention to the road. She just didn't give a shit. And all of a sudden, there's a fucking deer that goes, and she's like, and she hits that fucking deer so goddamn hard, chat. Hits the deer, flops on the side of the road, and it's going, because it's like in horrible pain, can't move anymore. She's like, oh my God, I killed it. And she gets outside, chat. And she starts walking over to it. She has this pouring rain, lightning, and she goes over to it, and she's like, oh God, I'm so hungry. And then, chat, she gets down on her hands and knees, unclenches her jaw like a snake, and just goes, and then she starts eating this thing. She starts sucking the fat. This is what it looks like. I've showed you before. Hold on. Let me get that image up there, chat. Right here. This is what we goddamn see, chat. Of her unclenching her goddamn jaw and just start sucking the fat and the meat out. It's not like eating it. No, literally just sucking it up, chat. So apparently, this kryptonite has mutated not just her metabolism, chat, but has given her elasticity powers, and she's able to unhinge her jaw like a serpent. It's truly fucking bizarre. It's one of the goofiest moments in the goddamn. It's nightmare fuel too. It's just horrifying to see that, chat. So she just vores this goddamn deer. She just vores it all. And then that's it. And then Allison Mack, because she's all about like these weird mysteries in Smallville. We have to solve it, Clark. We have to find out what's at stake here in our little quiet American town. And she like goes to Clark, who's just like, I gotta buy a gift for Lana. And she's like, fuck Lana, just date me, Clark, just date me. And she says, listen, I was reading the newspaper. It was like, this is all when you have fucking kids reading the newspaper. And she says, look at this story. And he's like, oh, okay. it's a goddamn, roadkill about the deer. And he's like, that's not unusual. Okay, she's, no, it is unusual. It is unusual, Clark, because the deer, its death is not determined. They don't understand what happened to it. It didn't die via car. And he's like, okay. She says, I think it's one of these meteorite freaks that's doing it right now. And we got to go investigate this deer. It just sounds very weird. And he goes, all right. And so they go to the animal control office. And he's got to keep it secret. And the deer is locked behind this fucking door. And she's like, I'm going to go find a guy to open this up. It's like, you shouldn't even be here. Why are they going to let you goddamn high school kids in here anyway? But anyway, he's like, all right, sure. And he just fucking pokes his finger through the door handle, goes boop, and it instantly unlocks. And he goes, oh, I got it open. She's like, how'd you do that? He goes, I just jimmied it. And just kind of jimmied it a little bit, jingled it a little bit. And she goes, wow, little Jimmy, that's wonderful. And they go inside. And they uncover the deer, and it just looks like fucking jerky, chat. That's what it looks like. Even the hair is all gone. Clark's even like, that looks like goddamn jerky. And she's like, look at these bite marks. It looks like something sucked the fat out of it. And Clark Kent looks at her and says, you mean like a fat-sucking vampire? And the title of this episode was born. And she goes, yeah. Meanwhile, we cut back to the school, and Amy Adams, chat, she is sitting down. She's sitting down to a nice, hefty meal, chat, of high school food. It's just all those shitty, remember those rectangle pizzas you got as a kid, chat? Like multiple rectangle pizzas, mashed potatoes with shitty gravy, biscuits, all sorts of stuff. Just eating as much as you can. And Allison Mack sees this, and Pete sees this. She's like, oh boy, Amy, you're hungry. She's like, oh yeah, it's my cheat day. I can't help myself. But she's still hungry, chat. She's still hungry. Even after she's done eating, she's like, oh, she has got the bubbly guts again. She's like, oh, the parasites need more. And she's walking around. And she sees, even people are asking her, it's like, are you okay? She's like, I'm fine. I'm beautiful. I'm fine. Don't fucking bother me, okay? And she keeps walking. And she sees Dustin, chat. Dustin's like, whoa, Amy, I guess that diet really worked out for you. You're looking hot. And, she's like, well, Dustin, maybe you should think about going on that diet fat. And he's like, whatever. And she's like, you know what, Dustin? She's like, you like what you see right here? And he's like, yeah, boobs. She's like, I'll show you somewhere where it's dark and no one is looking at us. Sound good? And he's like, yeah. Now, if someone said, let's go without anyone looking, I'd be like, I'd be a little concerned. Like the person you were mocking and literally were beating up before, suddenly is just like, let's just go to an undisclosed location and just hang out and have sex. I would believe at this point, chat, that like, this bitch is going to kill me. This bitch wants to kill me. But Dustin, he ain't smart yet. He's not as Smash Mouth once said, chat. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. And so she leads him, chat, to the Smallville High School football field, down to the bowels of the football field, chat. Meanwhile, fucking Clark is talking to Lana, saying, I'm gonna get you a real good gift, Lana. And she's like, I know you will, Clark. I can't wait to see you at my birthday. It's gonna be so much fun. He's like, yeah, it will. And she's like, all right, I'm gonna go hang out with my boyfriend and possibly your greatest nemesis ever. Bye. And she leaves. And so, but then, chat, he's walking shit. But then he's like, wait a minute, something looks weird, because he hears like noises and shit. He uses X-ray vision, chat, and he looks down to the bowels of the football field. And we cut to Dustin and Amy Adams, chat, and she's like getting all sexy, and Dustin's like, oh, hot. And she's all rubbing up on him, and she's like, you like what you see? He goes, yeah, I really like it. And she's like, yeah, so I guess you wouldn't have me if I was fat, right? And he goes, I mean, you look great now. And she goes, yeah, I know you want me right now, but I remember all those things you said about me. I felt so horrible. I'd rather be, what I felt at that time, I'd rather be dead than be fat. And now you want me. You desire me. You crave me. And he's like, yeah? And she goes, I'm gonna eat you. He's like, what? And she fucking unhinges her jaw. Yet again, she unhinges her jaw like a goddamn snake and starts sucking out his fat, yeah, like a vampire. And Clark's like, what the fuck is he uses X-ray vision? He's like, what the hell's going on down there? And he kicks down that goddamn door chain. He goes down. He's like, hey, is everybody okay there, chap? He's looking around. And all of a sudden, chat, Dustin comes out from the darkness going, and he's all emaciated. He's like, oh, he looks like a fucking mummy. He's like, help me. And he's like, Clark's like, holy shit. And he grabs him, shit. He sets him down. And he's like, all the flesh and fat was just sucked out. He's like, oh, all atrophied and everything. And Clark calls the school security chat, calls the nurse's office, and they take him to the hospital chat. And Dustin's in a coma. He's in a coma. We never see Dustin again, chat. We assume that he probably died. He was in that coma forever. He just died. So Amy Adams has taken her first fucking victim, chat. She's taken her first victim. It's not great. Not great. Eventually, though, we cut back to the home of ADMs, and her dad, Chad, he's got to go to Metropolis for some business. Okay, again, Metropolis is like 5 miles away from Smallville, apparently. And he's like, listen, I'm not going to be able to see you off on your date, but you're okay? She's like, I'm fine, Dad. She's like locked in the bathroom. And he's like, all right, listen, I really think we should talk when I come home, okay? About this diet thing. I just want to make sure that you're doing okay, okay? You know, you're beautiful as you are, and I just really want to make sure you're doing all right. Is that okay? She goes, okay, Dad. No, I'm doing great. And he's like, okay. Hey, can I see you before I leave? And he goes to open the door, and it's locked. And she goes, Dad, I'm indecent. I'm indecent right now. And he goes, all right. Well, listen, I'll be back in 2 days. Okay, so just call me if you need anything. All right, or call the neighbors if you need anything. I'll be back. All right, bye, Amy. He's like, bye, Dad. And then we cut Amy's, and there's a bunch of fucking bodies. No, she's just a bunch of bodies around her, chat. There's a ton of junk food, like it's a murder scene, chat. And she's covered in chicken grease, in pizza sauce, in French fries, chat. It was a slaughter. That's all it is. The whole bathroom, chat. She's like up to her goddamn waist in junk food. It's fucking hilarious. And she's like, what am I going to do? And then I guess it cuts. It's the next day. It's Friday or whatever. And, you know, she's cleaned everything up, and she's got she got a new dress on, showing off. And she's like, oh, I look so good. She's like, oh, my tummy. And oh, no, it's too late, Chad, because then Pete's at the door. Pete's at the door. He's going to take her to Lex Luthor's mansion / Lana Lang birthday bash party. It's like, all right, whatever. And he picks like, hey, Lana. And she, Pete, knocks on the door. She's like, hi, Pete, how you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm doing great here. And gives her flowers. She's like, oh my God, you're so sweet. Thank you. And she's like, you look great. You look so hot. And he's like, oh, you look great in that dress. She's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Ooh. And he's like, something wrong? She's like, oh, no, I'm fine. Ooh. It's her tummy, Chaz. The parasite things in her tum-tum. They must feast. They're craving. And he's like, Lana, seriously, are you okay? We don't have to go. Are you fine? And she's like, I'll be right back. I'm just so hungry. And she goes back inside. And he's like, Amy, are you okay, Amy? And she's like, don't come in here. I'm fine. I just need a little snack. Just stuffing herself. And he's walking in there, and he just sees her on the floor, just all this food's around her and everything. She's like, and Pete's just like, Amy, what's wrong? What's wrong? I can help you. And she's like, you can't help me. I'm a freak. I'm a monster. He's like, no, you're not. No, it's okay. We can get you help. She's like, I don't want your help. I told you not to come in here. I'm so hungry. And he's like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? She's like, I love dark meat. And she gets on top of him, and she extends her jaw and everything. It's like, no, not Pete. And she's about to get him, chat. But then Allison Mack and fucking Clark, they figured out that Amy Adams was a fat-sucking vampire, chat. They somehow, is that a real line? Yes. That is a real line from the episode. Dark meat cancel. I mean, everyone loves the dark meat, though, chat. It's true. At one point in the episode, they fucking figure out that Amy Adams is a fat. I don't remember the details. They remember she's a fat-sucking vampire, chat. And Clark, he fucking busts down the goddamn side of the house of Kool-Aid Man. Oh, yeah, don't eat my black friend. And he runs over there, chat. Amy Adams is like, wah! And she fucking bursts out the goddamn window, chat, like a goddamn monster. She just runs off. She runs off into the greenhouse. And Clark's like, shit, Pete, are you okay? Pete's like, what the fuck happened, man? He's got concussed on the back of he fell on the floor. And he's like, listen, you stay right here. I'm going to go check on Amy Adams. And he runs out there. And she sees that he went in the greenhouse. And he's like, Amy, listen, I can help you. She's like, no one can help me. I'm a monster. And she fucking hits him with a shovel, chat. I love it. Clark Kent, which you've seen all these amazing powers of his, chat. Super strength, super durability, X-ray vision, super speed, all that shit. Shovel is his greatest weakness. There's kryptonite, chat. Number one. Secondary weakness, shovels. Hits him on the back of the head with the fucking shovel, chat. Goes down. Just goes down, chat. And she's like, I need to feed. I need to feed. And he's like, look, no, Amy, look at yourself. Look at yourself. Look what you're doing. She's like, and she sees the mirrors and everything. And she's like, sees herself as fat. And she's like, I'm a monster. I need to end it all. And she starts like hitting all the wires in a chat, and there's some reason there's gasoline. I don't know why there's gasoline inside of a greenhouse. Why is there gasoline inside of a greenhouse, chat? She's like, I gotta get all this gasoline now. She starts pouring the gasoline. He's like, yeah, I gotta destroy it all. And Clark's like, this crazy bitch. And he goes up to her chain, goes, boom, and he just nudges her, and she flies out the goddamn window. He's like, I gotta save her, because the whole thing's about to explode, and he manages, chat, to get her out, and he bursts out, chat, and it explodes behind him. He takes the impact of the blast, chat, but he's good. He runs over to her. Thank you, by the way, to Togo13 for the follow. You're my new Huckleberry. Welcome to stream. Hope you enjoying yourself. So he gets the burn the blast, but he goes out there. And he sees Amy Adams collapse on the ground, chat. She's fine, I guess. And then Pete comes out, and he goes, oh, Clark. Pete doesn't know that Clark has superpowers and shit. He's like, what happened? He's like, oh, I think she tried to hurt herself, tried to kill herself maybe. I don't know. And I just carried her out of there. And he's like, holy shit, man, you could have died. He's like, yeah, I could have died. And he's like, he's all singed and everything. His jacket's all singed. And he's like, what should we do? He's like, let's take her to the hospital. And then, chat, we cut. And they just check her in the hospital. And I'm like, wait a minute. They check her in the hospital. What are they going to do? What the fuck are they going to do? And that's it. That's it with Amy Adams, chat. She's gone for the rest of the episode. We don't see what happens to her. We have no explanation what happens to her. She never doesn't return. I'm like, okay, what happened to her? Did she go into a coma? Did she just escape and start sucking the fat out of other people? We do not know. We do not. I assume I guess I can assume maybe it was the Kryptonian smoothie that was inside of her tummy, and they pumped her stomach to get rid of it, but it changed her on a molecular level, on her DNA level, chat. So it's like, what? But we don't never, much like Dustin, chat, who fell into a coma, we never knew what happened to Amy Adams. Anyway, because of this event, chat, Clark was not able to go to Lana's birthday, and Lana's so sad. She's like, I hate Clark, he sucks. And Lex Luthor's like, hey, baby. And he's like, oh, hi, Lex, how you doing? He's like, listen. And Lex, you know what? I'll give this to Lex, chat. He's actually a good person in this case, because he says, listen, Clark's a great guy. He literally says, Clark Kent's a great guy. I'm sure the reason why he was not able to be here is for a very, very good reason, okay? If you just talk with him, I'm sure everything will be clear. She's like, no, I hate him. He's like, all right, whatever. I tried. I actually like that fucking Lex Luthor tries to tell her, just he's probably just late. He's late, or something came up. He lives with his parents. They're farmers. It could have been any sort of emergency. Okay, and we barely have cell phones at this point. In this year, so. It's okay. He'll call you. And she's like, no, I hate him. And so Clark, he goes to her house, chat, and he's like, throwing rocks at her window. He throws one a little too hard, cracks it. She's like, oh, shit. She's like, Clark, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm sorry. Amy Adams was a fat-sucking vampire, and I had to stop it. And she's like, oh, that makes so much sense. Lex said the exact same thing. Totally get it. He's like, I got to surprise you. I got your birthday present. She's like, what is it? And he sets up this whole movie theater, chat, at his little ranch, the Kent farm, where he got a sheet up there. He has like old reels, like the actual fucking real footage of Bugs Bunny cartoons, and they watch that together, chat. They eat popcorn, they have hot, sweaty sex, and that, my friends, that is Smallville. Amy Adams is a fat sucking vampire, chat. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this fine piece of television entertainment. Lex was trying to tell her, just talk. Exactly. That's what exactly. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Just talk to him. Like, Lex Luthor was a good guy. Also, Lex Luthor has cancer. That's the other reveal. Well, did I say Lois? I meant Lana Lang. Sorry. Listen, I don't know what it was in the writer's mind. So they went, like, let's the loves of Clark's life, Lana Lang and Lois Lane. They're two similar names. What the hell is that? That was a mistake. So I always confused them. Toga, I love Smallville. This was a fun episode to review. I hope you enjoyed my rendition of Smallville. Amy Adams is a fat sucker vampire. Right, definitely. 10 minutes. That was inspirational. Thank you. I still dislike this episode. No, it's a bad one. It's a really bad. It's considered to be like one of the worst episodes in the series, I think. Yeah, show is bad, but your reviews are great. Thank you, Berserker. Thank you. If you ain't sucking the fat, you ain't doing it right. It's true. It's true, Knight. Just ask Amy Adams. But I love it that you just don't explain what happened to all these villains. It's like, she didn't die. What did they do to her? Like, I really genuinely do. Like, I'm curious, like, what happened to her? What happened to Dustin? We never find out. Never find out. Well, I'm not going to be able to watch Amy Adams movie without thinking of this. Yes, because her sucking the fat. Here's I wasn't feeling Revenge of the Nerds and Turn Off. Yeah, it's just not. It's a comedy that has not aged very well. It's not. I don't know. The humor changes. Thank you. It was it's a villain of the week episode, very much so, Toga. Thunderly, I will say I like Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor. Chat did a great job. He's. I can see what people say. No, he is the best live action Luthor, and I agree. I agree. Thunderly, thank you to 10 minutes. Later in the series, they had an episode where Lois says she came from the same high school, but no one remembers who she was. Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah, I was going to the same school at the same time. It's like, really? Oh, that's hilarious. That's funny. Oh, my God. Jonathan Taylor Thomas is the villain of the week. I'm sure they had a lot of them. They kept her for experiments. I imagine so. If that was explained, and we find out later in the series that Lex Luthor acquired all these people and experimented on them, like, okay, at least we know. But I went to Wikipedia. I went to the Smallville wiki, and they say she never appeared again. Except maybe she stole Lois Lane's identity, chat, and married Clark. But anyway, it was a fun one to do, chat. So again, as I said before, chat, I do these television reviews, these scene by scene breakdowns, chat, for TV episodes every single Saturday for the price of 1,000 biddies. I can review an episode of television for you. It can be anything. It can be Smallville. It can be another episode of Smallville, chat. It can be another DC show. It can be not even DC related, chat. It can be bad. It can be good. It can be in between. I will do it for you, chat. I will do it for you. I got some good ones already in the docket right now, but you don't want to pick one, chat. You let me know. Well, so don't eat people. Yeah, that's a good one. That's one we should, I think, all adhere by. Just don't eat somebody, chat. Don't suck the fat out of their bodies. Come on. Now, chat, I'm just going to go ahead and freshen up my beverage, and I shall return for, I'll showcase some of my upload material today, chat, on my YouTube and Patreon, and I'll play some Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But until then, chat, please entertain yourselves amongst yourselves and stick around. I'll be right back.